cafe anyway.
Mike's Daily Podcast
2206, 2,206 episodes so far, and a show called Mike's Daily Podcast. How's it going? Did you have a good day? Did you go? Oh wow, I'm in California. Can you tell me how it got so nice with this wonderful spring weather? Yes, the other people on the other part of the country might say, whatever, that's messed up. Because where I am, it's cold. I go outside and I slip on ice. Mike's Daily Podcast. But to hear today, oh, so wonderful. And you know what? Californians pay by Mike's paying taxes. Daily. Dealing with traffic. Podcast. Even during the coronavirus. Yeah. And they pay with allergies. And chew. But other than that, we love it. Just love it. If you can just, it's always wherever you are, unless you're sitting on Mars or no. Mars, there's not enough oxygen, so you'd be dead. Just watch Total Recall and you'll understand. Or you go to Mercury and you're roasting, you're fried to a crisp because you're so close to the sun. But did you know that Mercury does not have an aurora borealis? Is that what I read? I guess. Okay. At any rate, it's just good to be happy where you are, I guess is what I'm saying. Because some places stink. I guess. I did when I lived in Alabama, I loved all the greenery. I loved the nice people. I loved the rich history. I loved being somewhere other than California for a while. In fact, the year I left to go to Alabama was the year California got hit by unbelievable fires. And then I think Arnold Schwarzenegger was our governor for a little bit, but then I moved, so I was not there for most of the governor's term.
And here's today's podcast picture.
We're going with a nice picture from Stinson Beach. Actually, I'm over here in Bolinas looking at Stinson Beach in this picture. Bolinas is a very interesting little town. And there was a sign I saw, a handwritten sign that was nailed to a tree that said, "Let this virus be our teacher." And I saw that in Bolinas. Are we going to learn from this virus? Are we going to learn to be a little more careful? I wonder if we're going to just overall be more healthy as a society after this virus. Yeah, fat chance. I know, Basil. I know. You and I never went to Bolinas. About as close as we got to Bolinas was Bodega Bay, maybe. We had a good time there. Yes, we did. We had a great time. Hey, somebody emailed me and said, "Hello, we want sponsored ads on your Facebook page. You will be paid $4,000 per week. If you are interested, or for more details," they didn't have a link to click on. They just asked me to reply, to just email back to them. Somebody named Eliza Contact. No, ain't gonna do it. Sounds like fishing. Someone's fishing for Mike. We'll send it to mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com and Mike will be gullible and we'll click on it and haha. So, or I'm missing out on $4,000 per week. Who knows? But that does seem a nice chunk of money in order to do that. Hey, somebody who listened to the podcast on LinkedIn commented and said that Basil approves of this podcast. We just heard from Basil the Boxer, my wonderful dog for 10 and a half years, who I lost last year. And this person actually met Basil the Boxer. So, yes. And this person also said, it sucks that dogs have such a short lifespan. And it's true. In our huge lives, hopefully huge lives, they have such a small one in comparison. Did you hear that Barack Obama and Bruce Springsteen are doing a podcast called Renegades, Born in the USA, which Trump would dispute that, but at least one of them wasn't born in the USA. 2 dreamers born in the USA. This is what Spotify sent to me. One friendship made in America. Join President Barack Obama and Bruce Springsteen as they share a conversation for all Americans. Listen to Renegades Born in the USA right now. Okay, right now I'm doing this podcast for you here at 4:59 on the 24th of February, 2021. It is a Wednesday. They, from what I heard, recorded that last year. So I don't know how exactly up to date. To me, I like a podcast that's timely. I like a podcast that's almost like a broadcast, like it just happened. I want to hear the newest. Some people don't care. They'll listen to old podcasts from 5 years ago. One of the platforms that I am on, and I haven't been deplatformed yet because you know why? I'm not an idiot. But I had a debate with somebody who is in the theory that everybody's out to get him. All the media, because all media is left wing. It's all out to get him. Everything's out to get him. The vaccine's out to get him. Everyone's trying to kill him dead. And I told him, he goes, YouTube is out to get him. And I told him, well, YouTube was out to get me. They actually gave me a mark on my, they gave me a demerit or whatever you want to call it. Because in one of my descriptions for my podcast, I mentioned something about the coronavirus. And YouTube is very not edgy, but very leery of anything that has to do with the coronavirus, of misinformation. So they will tag you. They will give a demerit to your channel if you even mention the word. They're like, no. It's sort of, there was this thing, as we go outside a cafe anyway, we were bringing Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcastro Valley, the last place on earth. There was a radio conglomerate, a very large one, that when 9/11 happened, they were banning all kinds of songs from the radio. They were super sensitive. It was like woke going the other direction because they were woke about really weird stuff. It's in the music, like a song like, Bruce Springsteen's "I'm on Fire." Oh, speaking of Bruce, I'm on fire. They said, no, because things caught on fire during 9/11, and no one wants to think about fire, so don't play that song. Come on. And there was a rule in radio for a long time: you couldn't play 2 female artists back to back. And I was working at a country station, and I got a demerit because, and I saw this person, the guy that gave me the demerit, I saw him on LinkedIn recently. So he's still working in radio, unfortunately. But yeah, he goes, yeah, you put 2 female artists back to back, so yeah, I'm giving you a B on your report card. I could have gotten an A, but because you're sexist, I got wonderful. Thank you. I was listening to a country station yesterday online, a very famous one in California, and they put 2 female artists back to back, Carrie Underwood and someone else, I forget who it was, but I was like, the times have changed. And the radio station I am sometimes heard on, that you can find out which one that is at my website, mikesdailypodcast.com. There's a link to it. They play female artists back to back, no problem. So it's just strange what people's little standards are, the weird things they get all edgy and uppity about and whatever. All that took us somewhere. Barack, Bruce, fire, people trying to fish for my information. Oh, speaking of fire, PG&E. Yes, they sent me an email as well. Boy, I'm not even going to get to this article. I was going to get to this article about, what the heck was this about? And a big thank you to Costco Connection for the topic we covered last podcast. And I was going, and last podcast, did you notice it was called Marshall? and I had a picture from the town of Marshall. And then the previous podcast had a picture from Dillon Beach. So there you go. Marshall Dillon. For all of you people that know what that is. I should have been a cowboy. It's an Toby Keith song, if for one thing. If keeping your brain fit is one of your goals for 2021, you'll want to add Dr. Sanjay Gupta's Keep Sharp, Build a Better Brain at Any Age to your reading list. He traveled the world to find insight from scientists whose cutting-edge research can help heighten and protect brain function and maintain cognitive health at any age. As a brain surgeon and a reporter, I have always... That sentence alone, you can't top that sentence. If you are allowed to say that in the first person, as a brain surgeon and a reporter... Well, dang it, then I quit. I'm no longer going to broadcast, podcast, or have anything to do with media because you are not only a reporter, but you are a brain surgeon. How can I compete? Thanks, Gupta. What did he say? Oh! Gosh, I am all over the place. I apologize. Today, I've wanted to cover something real quick before we get to the rest of this and the sentence that makes me feel so underwhelming as a person. Michael Seska? Joe Seska? Something Seska. Mike Seska. Is that it? I'm saying his name wrong. But he did a daily podcast on Slate. And I know this because if you did a search for Mike's Daily Podcast, he would pop up because he was doing a daily. It was called The Gist, whatever his name is. He apparently had this argument on a couple of podcasts that he did, and then he's been on NPR over and over again. So National Public Radio, this huge radio network that covers the entire USA because it's national, it's in the name, heard all over on hundreds of radio stations. He made the argument saying that as a white person saying, as this is how I understood it, you are allowed to say certain very racially insensitive words. And he argued that was okay to do that. And I'm thinking, Mike, whatever your name is, please. What is it with people that feel like so chained that they can't say certain words? Like, I'm not allowed to say that word. Oops. You know, you have a plethora of other words you can use. Expand your vocabulary. It's just for the rest of my life, I am told there's a couple of words, Mike, that as a white, middle-aged male, you are not allowed to say. I will say, okay, fine. Don't think I was ever going to use those words anyway, but that's all right. You can take that out of my vocabulary. I am fine over here in this part of the sandbox. But apparently, Michael, whatever, Pesca, that's it. He was saying, I should be allowed to say that word for whatever reason. And now he is off of Slate because Slate was it's kind of a left-wingy thingy. And so they've taken him off of that. For, I guess, suspended. I don't know how long he's off of it, but his podcast will not be daily, I am guessing. And mine will, because I've done it now, 3 days in a row today? What do you think about all this? Are you angered that there are certain words that you can't say because you're a particular type of race? You can call me 336MM Daily. 3 + 3 = 6. MM as in Mike Matthews. Daily isn't what this podcast tries to be. You know, you could be overly sensitive and you'll still offend people. You can be told, I can never play I'm on Fire by Bruce Springsteen. And then you go ahead and play it anyway because you're going to be defiant. I understand that there are people, you draw a line in the sand and they just cross it. Don't fence me in. And give me land, lots of land in the sunny skies above. And give me Cole Porter. But as a brain surgeon and a reporter, I have always marveled at how little... By the way, Michael Pesca, he did this daily podcast, and I just want to back up and say real quick, he wrote everything out. When he would do his little monologues, he wrote everything out. And that's pretty impressive, but also a colossal waste of time. If you're going to just talk on your podcast and do a monologue, talk from your your heart and your gut, and I guess it didn't matter anyway. He talked from his heart and gut and wrote it down and recited it, but it sounded just like he was reading it the whole time, and that bugged me. If I can throw that out there too. So good riddance, Michael Pesca, and your Mike's Daily Podcast of your kind. Now I'm the Mike's Daily Podcast. I have always marveled at how little the public really knows about the brain, said Dr. Sanjay Gupta. Sure, we understand that we can be educated, but the idea of making the brain itself sharper is thought of unachievable. Instead, there is a widespread belief that memory loss and brain dysfunction is inevitable as we grow older. Those are all fallacies, and they are what inspired me to write the book, he says. When asked what he'd most like readers to know, he says it all begins with the brain. Everything. You want to be more productive? Focus on your brain, like a muscle. Develop better relationships, better sleep, better habits. We wait for the massive medical breakthroughs, and yet we often fail to use existing, easy-to-implement tools that can optimize our brain today, improving functionality, boosting neural networks, stimulating the growth of new neurons, and staving off age-related brain disease. And so I guess I have to buy his book in order to find out more. But there, I pulled that from Costco Connection. And I also wanted to pull this out to you, that the public safety power shutoff recap out of my inbox that I got from PG&E. And they say, we at Pacific Gas and Electric Company would like to thank you for your patience during the public safety power shutoffs last year. We know how disruptive it is for customers to be without power, and we only use PSPS, that's public safety power shutoffs, as a last resort for public safety to prevent major wildfires. It was, now this is me talking here. Hi. It was not as bad last year as it was the previous year, 2019, and I was reminded of this because my lovely lady friend and I went to Fairfax and then over to Point Reyes in 2019, and it was a fun trip, but in many ways it was somewhat wasted because everything was shut down because of the fires. They remember they turned off the power. And not that many places had generators running, so much for trying to eat out anywhere. When you're on a trip, you like to eat out and all that. But when we were there actually last week. We finally went back, and the power was on. It was wonderful. But so 2020, not as bad. Heading into 2020, says PG&E, we knew that we needed to get better for our customers. We listened to your feedback and made several improvements, including enhancing our electric grid technology, which led to an average of 55% fewer customers impacted. That's probably why I noticed I wasn't impacted. I was part of the 55% fewer. Thank you. Reducing the time to restore power after severe weather by 41%. Yes, that's always important. The longer you wait, PG&E, the longer my food is about to go bad and all my ice cubes are going to melt. Plus, they partnered with more than 250 community-based organizations to provide additional resources for customers before and during after PSP events. They gave out, I guess, portable batteries and food replacements. So there you go. They sent me a whole recap telling me that thank you, you pay your bills, Mike, and this is what we do, and don't hate us and stop suing us. So there you go. Just thought I'd share that with you. Living in California, that's some of the interesting emails we get here in Northern California, at least. Look who's here outside a cafe anyway, somewhere in Podcaster Valley. Hello, Michael Matthews. It's Madame Rootabega. I don't like it when people say bad words. Oh, so you're offended by just the curse words? Yes, Michael Matthews. Yes. Do you like French words? Yes. Do you like made-up words? Yes. Do you like the word moist? No. Yeah, not that many people do. Unless you're talking about a delicious cake. Look who else is here. Hello, Dave, Mike. This is Valentino, the parking attendant. And it's Bison Bentley. Do you know that? Mike, this has been a great podcast, but I think you should end it. Yeah, end it. Do you know that? All right, it's ended.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com. Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye.
Next show, it'll be the wonderful Chely Shoehart, Floyd the Floorman, John Deere the engineer. You can respond to anything we talked about today. 336mm daily. 3 + 3 = 6. MM is in Mike Matthews daily, as in what this podcast has been for a couple days now. And you can also check out the website, mikesdailypodcast.com.